Okay, so welcome to the .loop class. There are two parts to this class. The first part is .loop. .loop is the system that KW uses for controlling all of our documents. As you probably know, we have a compliance department, which is basically me and Alice, and all of your documents for transaction are submitted, first of all, when they're a listing, and we review them, and then when you have a contract, and we review those as well. Before that, we have the .loop system has all the documents on it that you'll need. You can access it straight away off your intranet, KW intranet page. So let's talk a little bit about .loop, what it actually is. It's a workspace that connects everybody and documents needed to do real estate. What does that mean? You are going to create documents it's actually on a server elsewhere. And those documents are secure on that server, it can't be hacked. Then what is going to happen is when you want to share those documents, a link will go out and an invitation will go out to the people that you've shared it with. So when they will connect on that link and they will be taken to the server page and they will fill out the documentation there, sign it, or put any information in there. The advantage of that is that it's a secure system. They're not actually sending the whole document backwards and forwards. The document is actually sitting not on your computer, not on their computer. It's sitting on a web page, and it's a very secure system. Electronically, it allows you to edit it, complete documents, sign and share them. A paperless system. It's very useful when clients are out of town or they have different hours. They can come and sign it at any time that they want. You don't physically have to take papers over there to sign. It'll notify your clients when they have something to sign, and it will tell you when they've signed it. We've used .loop now for about 3 or 4 years. It is the corporate system that we use, and it keeps a record of all documents in the cloud for 7 years. So that means you can't delete them, you can't change them, and you and your clients will have a record of every single document that you've done for 7 years. All the documents are already there, like zip forms, and they are the promulgated versions of the forms that we use in Texas, and they're the ones that we've picked that we feel gives you the best coverage for your clients and for yourself. Okay, not all agents for other companies use .loop. Some of them use carrier pigeons, some of them use a paper system. You can do that if you like, but you're still going to have to load the papers into the .loop system so that they can come to me and be reviewed. So some of the older people might not be, clients might not be comfortable with electronically signing. They might not even have email. In that case, you're going to have to use good old paper and pen, but you can still scan it and bring it into the .loop program. This is an overview of how the process works. The first thing you do is you create a loop. The next thing you're going to do is assign people and emails. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm the buyer. I am the buying agent. This is the buyer. His name is Mr. Buyer, and this is his email address. That way, the .loop programs knows where to put the names and who is who and where to send the notices to. You can import documents directly online. They're already in there, and they're actually interactive documents, so you can click on them. Or if you have a scanned document, if you, for example, you went out and you got an IABS and the buyer's rep, you can just scan it and import it in there. You share documents by mail, email, Something I would advise you to do is when you're sharing documents with either another realtor or with your clients, give them a call, tell them that you've sent it. Otherwise, because the message they're going to get is from .loop, not from you. So they might think it's spam or something and delete it, or that way they know to be expecting an email from you. You can manually edit documents. If you bring documents in, you can go in there and you can change them. Documents are signed by email. They come straight back to you. You get a notification that your clients have signed the email. The last thing you do is put in a green sheet when all the loop is ready, and you submit it to compliance. What happens then is it puts that into my queue and sends it to me. I will review the loop. I will either approve it or disapprove it. If I reject it, I will send it back to you. You'll get a notice why it came back to you, and I'll put a little message in there saying it's missing some documents or this was filled out wrongly. If it was good, I will approve it to the next stage where it goes to Leslie Howell, who's in the finance department, and she looks at the green sheet and she issues the DA. The DA sits in there, it will be in the loop, and then the DA, you will take the DA and send it to the title company. Disbursement authorization. Basically it's a sheet with Keller Williams' name on it, and it says, please write one check for X amount for Keller Williams and Y amount for the agent. So you would send that to the title company, and then the company, as soon as it closes, you can go to the title company and pick up your check. If you don't do that, the check gets sent here, and then we have to cut a separate check for you. And it also means that if you haven't had it approved before it's by me before it's closed, then we don't have a chance to fix anything if there's problems with it. This is an overview of the communication. It looks kind of complicated. I want you to imagine that this red line in the middle is a wall. You can communicate with your clients and backwards and forwards and loop. And you can communicate with the other realtor. What I don't think anybody would want is you communicating directly with the other realtor's clients. So let's say we are the buyers here on the left-hand side. We can use .loop to talk amongst ourselves. We can send it over to the other realtor, but we would never send it directly to the sellers. What the other realtor will do, that the seller's representative will send it to them himself. He can actually invite them in, and he will tell them not to sign it or not to sign it or to change it, and then he can send it back to you. If you're working directly in .loop, it will come straight back to you. If the other agent doesn't use .loop or doesn't want to use .loop, he can send it back in an email as a PDF. So you would send, for example, your offer, and they would send the 1-to-4 contract back with some changes, and they would send it as a PDF. And you can then import that PDF into .loop and work along with it. So what do you need? You need a computer or tablet with internet access and a functioning email account. You can do, there's an iPad app for it. It works fairly well. I find it a little difficult because it's small and it's not as friendly as the on your computer. I use it in an emergency, but I think there's more chance of you making mistakes. I would suggest that if you can, do it on a computer. It's a lot easier to see, the screen's bigger, and you can move it around differently. It's the .loop program is different on the computer from the app. So what do your clients need? They need a computer. They can sign stuff with a tablet. That's easy enough. But when you're trying to edit stuff and put stuff in, it's a little bit more difficult. With internet access, if every person, this is important, if there are two buyers or two sellers, each one must have their individual email address. They can't both sign from the same email address. Reason is because then the .loop wouldn't know which one was actually signing. So if you have some older clients or some clients who aren't particularly tech friendly, easiest way is to fill the form out, print it out, take it over to their house, get them to sign it, explain it to them, bring it back, and then scan it and put it up. As an FYI, you know that our printers out there, you can scan for free. If you just put them in there and press scan, it will. Your names are already set up there. It will scan it and send it to your email. Okay, so the way to log in is to go from your home page in mykw.kw.com, and in the center box there, you're going to see My Transactions. And you press that, and you get a drop-down menu, and click on Transaction Home. The first thing so when you do that, you should, if you're a new agent, you should check that the first time you do it, that you get a red and black banner at the top, and it says My KW Premium. If it doesn't say that, you might not be set up, because we have to link you to the brokerage. If you see a pale blue sign up there, that means that you are not connected. You're connected to .loop, but your loop isn't connected to our brokerage. So at that point, give me a call, and I'll be able to set it up, tell you how to talk you through setting it up so it connects to us. Sure. I went from your home page, to My Transactions, and press enter. And it takes you to this page. If you're new, you won't see any transactions here. So the first thing we're going to do is create a loop. So you press on this button here. Press actually on the text. One of the things about .loop is you actually click on the text. Sometimes there are some arrows next to it. If you click on that, you get a different menu. So you click on, press enter, and you get a little screen come up that says create a loop. So the first thing you're going to do is name your loop. I would strongly suggest that you name it an address. It's a lot easier for me, if we're looking for it, or you call me and you want me to look at it, or anybody else, it's a lot easier to find it when it's a specific address instead of Bert, or Bob. So then when you put the address in there, you press create a loop. One thing here is a kind of a little tip. There's a back button here. You don't see it very well. When you're in .loop, always use that back button here. Don't use the back button on the Windows Explorer. If you do that, that'll kind of take you back too far. So always use that back that's actually on the banner up here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is tell .loop what kind of transaction it is, because it needs to know whether it's a sale or it's a purchase, so that it can it'll fill the forms out in the right order. So in this particular case, we're going to make it a purchase. So you press on select transaction type, and then on purchase, and press enter, click on it. So we've created a loop, we've called it a name, we've said what kind of transaction it is, whether it's a purchase or a sale or a lease. The next thing we're going to do is add people to it and say who is, and tell the program, tell .loop who does what. So you're going to click add a person. So we're going to, the first person we're going to say is friend A at yahoo.com. We're going to call him friend AB. Put his email in there, or her email, and we're going to tell .loop that it's a buyer. So we click on role, that will drop down a menu, and we click on buyer and enter. Now the next one I'm going to do is me. Oops, sorry. I'm going to tell it what is my role. It knows my name and my email. I'm going to tell it, okay, I am the buying agent. So now it knows that I'm the buying agent, friend A is the buyer, and admin is actually me, the person who's going to review your loops when you submit them. Now, .loop knows where to put all the names. It knows that my name and my signature has to go where on the forms where the where the buying agent would, and where the buyer, who's friend A, his name is going to automatically appear with a name and where his signature should be. At the top of this form, there's two little a flag and a little message box. The flag is notifications. When something happens in .loop to your loop, it sends a notification there, and it's going to put a number in there. So number 1, number 2, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notifications. You can click in there and see what's happened. For example, if you write a document, send it to somebody to be signed, when they sign it, it'll come back to you, and it will also have a notification in there that said that friend A signed document at 9:35 on Friday afternoon, Friday night. Something very important about .loop. It's like an elephant, it never forgets anything. You cannot delete anything, and if everybody signed it and you try and change it, it will wipe off all of the signatures, which as a safety. You don't want somebody changing the contract after it's all been signed. Also, it keeps a log of every time somebody touches anything. So we can go back, and I'll show you how to do it. You go back and look at the log of that loop and of that individual document, and even if somebody opens it and doesn't do anything, you can see who opened it, what, when, and where. So it's a very good tracking document. The other box up there is a message. What that is if you want to send me messages when you submit the loop, if there's something about it that's not that you want to tell me that will help me look at it, you can put a little note in there. If I see there's a problem with it, I'll send it back to you, and in there it'll say, sorry, the residential service disclosure is missing a signature or something like that. And then you can correct it and then send it back to me and say, I corrected, and then I can go in and check and say, yeah, it is, and then send it on. Something very important in messages. I don't see the loops until you submit them. If they're just normally sitting there, I will not see the loop, I won't see the message either. So the only time that I see the messages is when you submit that and send it to me. Then it goes in my queue. So I'm not we're not looking into your loops at any time. The only time we ever look into them is either you call me up and say, hey David, can you look in this loop? And then I'm going to ask you what's the address so I can find it. Because as you can imagine, there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of loops in there. Or when you submit it to me for David to see, and then I'll see the message then. So, adding documents. We've created the loop, we've called it a name, we've said what type of loop it is, and we've said who's the players, who's the agent, and who are these buyers or sellers. The next thing we're going to do is put the documents in there. You're going to first of all press Add Document. And this window is going to turn up, add from computer, templates, or email. Adding from email is very complicated. And frankly, I never use it, and I wouldn't even advise you to use it. It's email. Because if you get an email, you can forward that email to a special number, which you have to ask the program for, and a special email address in .loop, which then brings that document in. Well, if you've already got the email, it's a lot easier just to save it on your desktop and import it. It's a lot quicker as well. So I never use email. So predominantly I use two methods, either computer or templates. Since we're starting the loop, we're going to use templates. When you press templates, another screen comes up, the back goes dark, and it asks you which documents you want to upload. Now, there are the Keller Williams or Trek interactive forms. I would advise you to use Keller Williams because all the forms that we've done are the best ones for you, for our agents, and they will be in that folder. So this on the left-hand side is the different folders. Eventually, what you can do is you can even add your own documents into personal, and you could edit them. If there's a document you use quite often, for example, the one but isn't a promulgated form, you can put it in there. You can scan it, and you can even put in the names and stuff that you want to have it ready. So, if, for example, the KW one-page buyer's rep, you can download it from the intranet, from documents, as a PDF, put the information in, your information in, and then upload it. So it's all ready. You just have to send it out and get a signature. But what we most use is Keller Williams Realty. There are also the Trek forms in there as well. There's some more of the very uncommon ones that you wouldn't use. But all these forms are actually interactive, which means that the fields, you can go in and edit the fields, and it will take you straight to the fields. Now here's a little tip which took me a long time to find out. At the top line here is a search button. You can type in the search, and it will bring up all of the files that have that in it. So if you're looking for the 1 to 4 residential contract, if you write residential, everything with a title residential will come up. You can also click multiple files. If you want, for example, if you're writing a contract, you can click all of them at the same time. Do the shift click and select as many files as you like at one time. Of great note, the first one you should add is the transaction checklist. In our folder, Keller Williams folder, there's a checklist that tells you all of the files that you need for any particular transaction. For a lease, for a lease listing, for a sale, or a buying, and even a referral. So I would strongly suggest that you upload that first. and it's a little checklist. It's a one page, and it's a checklist. It'll give you all of the files, all of the documents that you need. So you scroll down, select the ones that you want, and then press enter. And it will automatically upload them into the folder. So I uploaded the third-party financing addendum. So the first thing, so we're going to edit that now. So I select it, and then press open. Another window comes up, and this assign fields. This it checks. So you want buyer 1 is friend A, buyer 2, well, there's no buyer 2. Seller, you check that those are the right people, in the right order, and then press enter. And it opens up the document. You've already put the address in, so here is the address already put in for you. You could, so it, as much as possible, it will auto fill everything. You can scroll or tab down to look at it. So the first thing we're going to do is select and enter a value, because we want to say for the credit approval how many days. So we would put like 21 days in that. So we click on that field, and from black it will go to red to show that field is active. And you type in however many days you want for the financing period. The next thing, for example, we might want to do is we can assign different fields to people. Let's say, for example, we have a lease application. There's a lot of information that has to be put into that probably you don't know. So what you can do is, if you control click on all of the fields, so let's say we want the tenant to fill out his information, we can control click all of the fields that we want him to be able to type into, and we can assign it to friend A. That means that nobody else can change it, the landlord can't change it, only the tenant can go in there and add information into that. And it will be blank, and then when we send it out to him, then it will take him to that field and make him fill it out. So shift and click on all of the fields you want to share, you want that person to edit, go up to assign friend A, and when you're finished, you just save and share. Automatically, the program will fill in everywhere where it has to have a signature or be initialed. And when it's sent to the client, when they go into it, it will lead them from one area to the next, what they have to initial. And it won't let them get out without initialing it. So it's a good way to check you've got all the initials in there, because it won't accept it until all of those initial fields and sign fields are filled out. So when we've done all of that, what we want to do is so you see at the bottom here, it's got friend sign here, buyer sign here, already done. When we finish with that document, we say save and share. And it takes us to the next screen, which says, okay, for friend A can sign and friend B can sign. We might, if we want to do, we could put somebody else in there, and we can decide what they can do. They can view it only, they can sign it, they can fill and sign it, they can edit in private. Personally, I would only let somebody sign it or view it. I wouldn't let anybody edit the document except me, because otherwise, you don't know. If somebody edited the document and changed some sum, you might not notice it. So this way, they can only sign it, You know, I hate to somebody to put a zero on or take a zero off the sell price. That could be embarrassing. When you've put that in, pressed it button, it says it's been shared, and it gives you the status. It's waiting to be signed. And you press done, and it takes you back. What this is what an example of the email that your buyers or your clients are going to receive. So, again, they might not, if you don't call them, they might not know what it is and might delete it, or it might go in their spam file. So always give them a call and tell them, and you can put some own little notes in there if you like as well. If you want to tell them something. One thing about signing documents, it's a great system, it's really easy, it's really nice, but we have to be careful we don't fall into a trap. As realtors, we're responsible for explaining this information to people, what they're actually signing. You know, you send a 1-to-4 contract to somebody and say, just sign this, you know, and they're going to sign it. Most people, they don't ask a question. As realtors, we have a responsibility to explain to them. So I would, after I got it back signed, I would give them a call, and I say, if you've got a minute, I just want to talk over what you've signed here, and so that you understand what it means. Because it makes it too easy for people just to click on things and sign and say, well, I didn't know what I was signing. At least when, in the old, you know, when you've got a paper and pen version of it, you can sit down to opposite somebody and go down it one by one and explain what they're signing. So let's just recap a little bit. We talk to our clients, we communicate with the other realtor, but we don't let them edit anything. They communicate with their own clients through them, and everything goes through the selling agent and the buying agent. Yeah, the selling agent, if I'm the buying agent, he doesn't talk to my clients, the buyers, and I don't talk to the sellers. So let's say the other agent, the selling agent, we've sent them a 1-to-4 contract. His people don't, his sellers don't have an email or are not very comfortable with electronic signing. So he goes around the house, explains the 1-to-4, they sign, and so he has a paper copy. Well, he can come back to the house, scan it, attach it to an email and send it to us. So what we would do is when we get it, that PDF document, we would save it to our hard drive on the desktop somewhere or to a folder, and then we would import it into .loop. Very important, we can only import PDF files. We cannot import JPEGs, Word, Excel, anything else. Only PDFs. So we've got a document that we've received. We've saved it to our hard drive or desktop. So we do add document, but instead of templates, we're going to go to computer now. And we choose computer. It brings up a standard file manager. It's going to be different if you have a Mac, but same principle. You choose the file that you want, and then press open. And it will import the document into your loop. Let's say, for example, we have imported a document into our loop, and we want to change it. We've just had the inspection, and the inspector tells us that the roof is falling in. So we want to get the sellers to fix the roof. So we want to edit the document that they've sent us, and we want to send an amendment. So, yeah.
So you would.
I would keep every document I had about the house in there.
Okay.
Actually, I'd keep it in a different folder, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That way, if my computer blows up or something, I always have a record of everything, and also do my clients that's safe on the cloud for 7 years. Right, so .loop is my storage system. I think it's a lot safer that way because, for start, there are no. We're not sending files around. My computer could get stolen. Somebody could hack my computer and get that information off it. That information is client confidential. We're seeing more and more movement towards confidentiality. The title companies now, they have systems similar to this for documents, sharing documents with each other. You actually have to go on and register, and all of the documents are encoded and encrypted. So we're going to, as time goes on, we're going to see more and more of this. So people who use, pen and paper are going to have to get to this system and adapt it sooner or later. So anything you want to keep it on there. So we can edit this document in many different ways. We can add initials, we can add the date to it, we can add the names, add checkboxes, radio buttons. You wouldn't want to do that. You can add signatures, anything. So what I want to do is, this is my amendment, and I want to put in some text in here. So what I would do is I would say, click on Add Text, and it's going to create a little box. And you can drag and drop that box anywhere you want. So I would, in this case, drop it here in the comments section, and then type in fix the roof. When it's red, it means that you can edit the field. So now I've made a change to this document, the amendment. I need to get everybody to sign it again. So what I do is select the option, and I'm going to select Add Initials. And as soon as I do that, another little box appears on the end of my mouse. So I drag it down here and click here. And as soon as I click, it's going to ask me a sign field, because it needs to know who has to sign it. So what you would do is go up to this assigned, and like we did earlier, as soon as you click on that, a drop-down menu is going to appear of all the people who can sign it or initial it. And you would put friend A or friend B and click. If it was you, you could put your name there. Your name initials would appear here in the box, and you could actually click on it right then and sign it or initial it. Okay, archiving. As you go through the transaction, you're going to have different versions of the documents. For example, 1 to 4 contract. You've got the first version where you've got the seller's, the buyer's signature on it. You send it to the sellers. They send it back to you with changing the number. They want more money. You send it back to them. You want a longer option period. Each time it goes backwards and forwards. So you've got multiple versions of the file. Finally, everybody holds hands, sings Kumbaya, presses the button, signs, and the contract's executed. So in here, you could have 4 or 5 versions of the same document. Gets real confusing. So what I always do, and I ask people to do, is you can actually change the name of this file. So what I would do is, say I had multiple files here. The last version, you click on this arrow here and you choose rename. And then you can go over here and you can edit this name. So what I would do is I would say lease application final or signed by everybody, whatever makes sense to you. If it was a 1-to-4 contract, I would say executed. That way I know that's the final one, the good one. And what I could also do then is archive. Down in the corner is that button called archive. Archive on .loop works differently from archiving in your email. In your email, when you archive, Windows will ask you, do you want to auto-archive your emails? Or so does a Mac, you can auto-archive them. And what it does is it compresses them and puts them away in another file. And it's kind of tricky to get them back if you ever want to go and see them. .loop doesn't do that. Actually, all it does is it doesn't show you the name of it. It never deletes anything. If ever you want to see any archived, you just click on Show Archived, and instantaneously all of the files are there. And then you want to archive some, you click on the file, click Archive, and it disappears away. So you're never deleting anything. You're not. The only difference is you're only seeing one. It puts away the one that you've not looked at, don't want to look at. Please do that. It makes my life a lot easier. Okay, green sheet. Probably the most important document, because this is the one that gets you paid. There are 2 green sheets on our Keller Williams website. One of them is correct. There's an online system. We don't use that. We use it's actually an Excel file, and you find it you go to your mykw.kw home intranet, your home page. You go to Market Center intranet. You go to Market Center and then Documents. And you'll see in a folder called Green Sheets, there are 2 green sheets. There's Green Sheet Revised and Royalty and Coaching Green Sheet Revised. Some of you who are new agents, you are in coaching, so you have an additional charge, 6% for your coaching fee. And this calculates what it would be. Those of you that are experienced agents that have been here a long time, don't have and are no longer coached, won't have that coaching fee. So you click on it and save it to your hard drive. And it looks a little like this. There are classes how to fill them out. Leslie Howell does that on the Tuesday when they're looking at when they have the big meetings, and for the I think the ALC, that's the training course. So I'm not going to go into that much. Just going to give you a couple of tips. Remember I said that .loop, you can only upload PDFs. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up the Excel file, fill in the numbers. First of all, save it as, I would say, save it as the address, Green Sheet 123 Test Road. And save it as an Excel file. Then, save it as a PDF. What it'll do is it'll flatten the file, make it a PDF file, and then you can import the PDF. If you do what I did the first time, was put all the numbers in, spent hours figuring out how to do it, saved it as a PDF, uploaded it, great, done. Well, unfortunately, there was an amendment to the price, and all I've got is a PDF. So I had to fill the whole thing out again. If you saved it as an Excel file first, you can just click on it, change one number, save it as a PDF again, and upload it. And last but not least, when you've done everything, you are going to press this button at the top here, at the top, submit for review. Remember, if you don't press that button, I'm not going to see it. I'm not looking in your loops to see if it's ready or not. There's too many, it's not possible. So when you press that button, it will then get sent to my queue. And I will see it, and I will go through it and look at it, test it, check all the documents in there, and if they're missing any documents, or the signatures, or some things that I think you might want to miss, I will send them back to you. I'm looking at them from a compliance point of view. I'm not looking to see whether you made a good deal or a bad deal or anything like that. There is no judgment. I couldn't care. You know, I'm just checking that the numbers are in the right place, that they add up, that if there's numbers here, there has to be extra form, the form is there. So I'm not at all looking on what, you know, for example, the seller's disclosure. I'm looking to see there is one, that it's signed in all the right places, that there isn't any information missing on it, that you have got one, and that's it. I'm not looking at actually what's in there. With a few exceptions, if I see refrigerator will stay in the special provisions, I'm going to send it back to you and tell you that the refrigerator is a non-realty item and should be on a non-realty item addendum. So those kind of things, but I'm not actually looking whether it was good or bad, you know. That's Okay, it's going to ask a little bit more after you press the the submit button. It's going to ask if you want to put some more information in. Normally the information is already in there because it's pulled it up from the address. You press next. There are 3 classes of loops: basic, buying, or listing. Basic is referrals or leases, or buying is buying, and listing is either sales listing or lease listing. It helps. It will ask you to put that in. You have to put that in, and it will put them into 3 different lists for me. It helps me when I'm looking at the top of it, figure out what actually the loop is and what the documents I'm looking for. And then finally, you press submit. As soon as you've done that, it goes back to your loop screen, and it's going to tell you these are in compliance review. And it says, which means that they went to me, and so I'm going to look at them. It takes me about 3 or 4 days to look at them. I look at them in the order that I receive them. So if you're late and your closing is coming up, if it's an emergency, give me a call. You know, sometimes you can't get documents back in time for people, and so, you know, timelines get crunched. So if it's that situation, give me a call and tell me, hey. If you just haven't done it and put it in at the last minute, it's not fair on the people that did the work, did their job properly earlier, the other agents. So I'll try and help you, but it's going to be low on my priority. You know, honestly. What we're trying to do is the sooner you get those loops in, the longer we've got to look at them and change anything or fix anything before the closing. Once we get to the closing, the paint's dry. We can't change anything on it. So, but if we get it early, we can help you sort it out, get it right. Okay, something that you'll find is helpful, and it's helpful to me as well, is, let's say, for example, I've got some buyers, Let's change that. I have some sellers. We've got a listing. We put the listing in. You can create multiple folders. So what I do, and it might help you as a tip, is first of all create a folder for all of the listing information. So call it listing folder. You can also create another folder for, let's say, other stuff that you want to keep, like the inspection, HOA documents, or anything like that, but you don't really want to see it all the time. You just want to save it. Then I create a buy folder. So let's say, I've got my house is listed, we get the first offer, and I put all of that contract information in there. And then after 21 days, they don't get financing. So the deal is closed. What I will do then is I can archive that folder and create another folder and call it Buyer 2. That way you don't have all the documents mixed all up between one, so you know you're working with Buyer 2, you've sent him all the documents, you've got them back. Because sometimes I see when there are multiple offers or there are backups. There's another example where you could use another folder. Use a folder for a backup offer as well. Sometimes I see them all mixed in together, and it is so confusing. It's confusing for me, and I'm used to looking at them. I'm sure it's just as confusing for you to track that you've got all the documents and you've done all the right things for the right people. So to create a folder is really easy. All you do is up here press create folder, add. There's a add folder here, and it will make a new folder. You can, and the cursor will go up to here on the name of it. You can call it anything you like, and then press enter. So it's a nice way of keeping your documents separate, and it makes my life a lot easier. Because then when I come to review it, because then I know that one was a previous buyer that dropped out. All the seller documents are together, and you could do that as well with a buyer. If it's now it's pretty different. It's not often that in the lower market that the buyers get the first house that they put an offer in. So you can have all of the buyer docs, which is the IABS, the general information, the broker, the representative agreement in one folder. Then you can put offer 1 information in another folder, and if that goes south, you can put another folder in it, offer 2, and then you can actually archive the offer 1 folder. So it keeps it really clear and tidy and easy to look at. Okay, what documents do you need for transaction? In the Northwest, in .loop, in the Keller Williams folder, there is the transaction checklist. It's going to tell you every document you need for every type of transaction. It's not going to tell you which one you need to get. That's what I'm going to tell you in the second part of the course. And why. Ask your coach trainer. If you're a new agent, we're all trying to help you. We all want you to be successful. The only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. If you need help, call Alice Cowan in the day. Alice is the Director of Compliance. Or Susan Joyner. She'll be able to help you. Outside of hours, we have a hotline. And you can call that person from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night, and on weekends, and we'll help you as well. Please try and keep it for things that are in emergencies, but we will help you. Attend the Contracts 1 to 4 training course. That's a really good course. I know lots of experienced agents that go to that course course many times. Each time they go, they come away with something new that they missed the first time. I will even attend a course occasionally to remind myself of things that I forget. And the same with the amendments as well. You know, those are two very, very good courses. There's a lot of information. And the next course that I'm going to give after this is actually going to pull those two together and attend my .loop compliance course, which is the next course. What type of transaction must be submitted? Listings, we want to see them in 5 days. Leases, referrals, and sales. When should you submit them? If it's a listing, it's within 5 days of going live on the MLS. Contracts, we say a minimum of 13. I'd like to, as soon as you can get the documents completed and signed, get them to us and we can check them for you. So again, a quick overview of the process. Again, we learned how to create a loop, call it a name, assign people and email addresses to it. We learned how to put documents into it, either from templates or from PDF files that we've got on email. We learned how to share documents, send them out to people. If you don't want to send them out, you can always print them out and take them out and get signed. Manually edit documents. We can put in initials, signatures, and you'll see on that list, you can put lots of other things, line outs and things. How to get them signed, when and how do we do a green sheet, and how to submit for compliance. And last but not least, how to get paid. Okay, so thanks very much for attending the course, and thanks for watching this training video. And I hope you have many, many loops. Thank you. Goodbye.